Good evening to you and a warm welcome to this news bulletin. The top stories: the M1 highway witnessed a terrible accident early this morning. A National Transport Corporation bus toppled to end its journey to the side of the road. 10 people lost their lives, some 40 were injured. The Prime Minister, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam, conveyed his condolences to the bereaved. He announced a national day of mourning tomorrow, Saturday, 4th of May. He announced an inquiry on the circumstances of this accident, and the Prime Minister announced the cancellation of horse races tomorrow in sign of mourning, a decision ratified by the Mauritius Turf Club. 10 deaths, some 40 injured, 26 admitted to hospital. Such is the heavy toll to the terrible accident on the highway at Soreze this morning. The NTC bus, which would have been prey to brake failure, literally toppled to end its journey to the side of the road. Emergency services, police, SMF, the helicopter squadron, fire brigades, the SAMU quickly reached the spot to give assistance to those trapped under the body of the vehicle, of whom some who unfortunately had already passed away. A difficult situation and even shattering also for those driving by. Here is a feature shot by our team on the spot a few minutes after the accident occurred.
The fatal accident occurred at around 9:30 this morning. There were scenes of dismay and panic at Soreze near the new roundabout leading to the ring road. The rapid arrival of the rescue and emergency services helped in bringing the situation under control. Firefighters, the police, the SMF, the SAMU were ready for any eventuality. Dosami Ayakuti, head of the fire services, said that it was a difficult situation. The injured have been taken to hospital. The driver, who was stuck, was removed from the bus with difficulty. He was given first aid on the spot and taken to hospital, where he later died. Mario Nubin, Deputy Commissioner of Police, said that all police units deployed and members of the public also helped. He thanked them for their solidarity. The situation is under control. He added that the police will investigate into the cause of the accident. The circumstances of the accident are not clear at this stage, but according to information obtained, the Blue Line bus of the NTC providing the express service between Bakwa and Port Louis experienced a mechanical failure due to its brakes. And just before the descent at Pai, the driver tried to deviate the vehicle to the side. This maneuver caused the bus to overturn and end with all four wheels in the air. The first to help the passengers were drivers who stopped on the spot and rushed to the scene. Satyen Bojanot said that while he was going to Port Louis in his truck this morning, he noticed that a bus had overturned. Together with the men accompanying him, he helped in removing the victims. They saw people crying and screaming. Some were caught up in the wreckage, whilst others were already dead. Several volunteers joined the efforts of the emergency services, including doctors like Dr. Arvind Bulal and the psychologist Dr. Raja Madevu. Dr. Raja Madevu said that many have been seriously injured. Under the bodies which had to be removed, there were living people. He praised the emergency services for their efficiency. The public also followed the instructions of the doctors in helping the victims, he added. At 10:40 this morning, the traffic gradually returned to normal at Soreze. Whilst the police were about to remove the carcass of the vehicle, the country mourns the deceased and prays for the prompt recovery of the injured.
10 lives claimed in this accident, namely Hu Jiang in her 20s, Sanjay and Priya Ajoda, 48 and 40 respectively, Divesh Chinibash, 19, Ganesh Deepchand, the bus driver, 50, Amreen Lal Mohammed, 24, Shakuntala Ramdur Singh 48, Ruth Marimutu 50, Delphine Pukan 21, Kamla Devi Subradu 52. And the NBC conveys its condolences to the bereaved families. Some victims were driven to the G2 hospital in Port-Louis. A special team was set up to help relatives in the difficult experience of identifying the bodies.
As soon as the accident victims were transported to the G2 hospital in Port-Louis, they were given the necessary treatment. The families and friends started pouring in at the emergency units. The medical and non-medical staff were mobilized. At 11 this morning, the death toll stood at 10. Normesh Bandu, the Minister of Health, said that out of the 10 people who have died, 7 are women. 34 who are injured have been admitted. They are being given the appropriate treatment. 3 patients have been admitted to the Victoria Hospital. The Prime Minister is in permanent contact and is closely monitoring the situation. Minister Bandu also expressed sorrow over the accident which has claimed lives. The leader of the opposition, Alan Ganu, said that he'd heard from the medical staff that 10 people have already died and he'd seen the bodies himself. He added that his party expressed its solidarity and profound sympathy towards the victims, and he shared his grief with the bereaved family. He acknowledged the difficulties and despair which these families will undergo. He indicated that he'd learnt that the relatives haven't yet been appraised of their deaths, and it's a moment of intense sadness in the hospital. He said he could understand the anger of the afflicted families, and there is the urgent need to determine the causes and the circumstances surrounding the accident. He pointed out that there was a technical failure, brake failure, which is the cause of the accident as per information he'd received, and it's too early for him to derive any conclusion. The inquiry should follow its course to help determine the true causes of the accident. He asked the Minister of Transport and Government that the inquiry should be carried out in full transparency and light should be shed on the accident to pay justice to the victims of the accident. He added that it is very sad for the country to bear such a heavy death toll after the 30th March floods, and there is the need to situate the responsibilities, and if somebody hasn't done his work properly, he must be made accountable. Melanie and Vanisha, who were admitted to the G2 hospital, are still in shock. Melanie said that the bus conductor told them that the brakes had failed and that they should move to the back. The driver then lost control and the bus overturned. Vanisha said that at the level of Soreze, the bus overturned on the right. Some passengers got out from the back door of the vehicle. It was not until in the afternoon after the autopsies were carried out that the families could take the victims home. The families included that of the bus driver, Deepchand Ganesh. His brother, Vinod Ganesh, said that he received a phone call informing him that his brother had been injured. But upon his arrival at the hospital, his brother had already passed away. 44 people have been injured in the accident at Soreze. Some are still in the hospital, whilst the others have gone home.
3 injured were taken to the Victoria Hospital in Condos. 2 of them were considered to be in a serious state and were admitted in wards, whereas the third one was sent home.
The staff of the Victoria Hospital thoroughly mobilised this morning as soon as the alert was given. The first wounded arrived barely a few minutes after the accident. Vicky Gobin was rushed to the emergency department. He was injured at the head and was bleeding heavily when he arrived. He was on his way to work and was supposed to meet his friend at Montebello. When he pressed the bell for the bus to stop, it was at that moment that the bus driver realized that his brakes had failed. The driver told the passengers to move to the back of the bus. The passengers then started to panic. He said that fortunately he was sitting on the left-hand side of the bus, and when the bus overturned, it was those on the right side who were more injured. He said that he was removed with the help of others. He then phoned his friend to take him to the hospital in Condos. He added that the driver was not driving fast and did his best to avoid more damage. As soon as the alert was given, the police ensured that the road between the highway and the Victoria Hospital was free to allow ambulances to move freely. At the Victoria Hospital, the mass casualty plan was implemented. All the medical and paramedical staff, as well as health and safety officers, were on standby. Khavin Kumar Duman, director of the Victoria Hospital in Kondo, said that at 9:30 this morning they were informed of a mass casualty. The first thing they did was to activate the mass casualty plan and mobilized all resources. Operation theatres are also on standby and all means are available to help the victims. The Kondos Hospital received 3 wounded persons from the accident, 2 serious cases, and the third one was able to return home.
And the Apollo Bramwell also mobilized to manage the situation. Around 10, several injured, of whom one very serious, received care in this hospital. One of the victims, Amrin Lal Mahmoud, was buried this afternoon. Funerals of the others who passed away in this accident will be held tomorrow, amongst them a foreigner, Hu Jiang, who was the president of the ISEC organization for the past year. She was in her 20s. The grief was at a paramount amongst the relatives of the victims. And once the victims of the accident were transferred to the hospitals around, police investigators got down to work to collect clues leading to the causes of this accident, a fiddly work before the bus was put back on its wheels, before heading to the depot of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure.
Once the victims were removed from the bus involved in the accident, a security perimeter was put up around the scene. The officers of the Scene of Crime Office were on site. They inspected the underside of the vehicle thoroughly. A number of onlookers had gathered at the scene. The impact of the crash was violent. The roof collapsed with the impact. Once the collecting of evidence ended, the vehicle was then put back on its wheels and transported to the depot of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, where more in-depth examinations will be carried out. Inspector Ashok Mathur of the traffic branch said that the exact cause of the accident will be determined following the in-depth examination of the bus. All the police units are working in collaboration, he added. Once the vehicle was removed, firefighters started clearing the road while the police recuperated the personal belongings of the victims.
And now for a communiqué from the Office of the President of the Republic. It's with much sadness that he'd taken recognition of the tragedy that occurred in Soreze this morning, which claimed 10 lives. In these moments of pain, he said his thoughts go to all those who've lost their lives and loved ones, as well as those who have sustained serious injuries. To the latter, he wished them a prompt recovery. Government has decided that tomorrow, Saturday, 4th of May, be decreed a national day of mourning. So as we were telling you, tomorrow, Saturday, 4th of May, is decreed a national day of mourning in memory of the 10 victims of the tragic accident which occurred at Soreze this morning. The announcement was made this afternoon by the Prime Minister, Dr. Naveen Ramgoolam, during a press conference in Port-Louis. The Prime Minister, who conveyed his sympathies to the bereaved families, said all measures have been taken to support and bring assistance to the injured. He announced the start of an inquiry to shed light on the circumstances leading to this accident. The Mauritian flag will be flown at half-mast on all government buildings and from sunrise to sunset. The Prime Minister has also made an appeal to the private sector for all flags to be flown at half-mast tomorrow. Let's listen to the Prime Minister.
Comme toute la population connaît, c'est avec beaucoup de tristesse, c'est que la peine que nous tous finissons en connaissance de l'accident tragique qui est arrivé ce matin à Soreze, côté un bis CNT fin renversé. Tout d'abord, je me présente vos sympathies à toute une famille qui vient de perdre des proches dans cet accident-là, et la même famille ministre de l'homme qui n'est pas au courant. Puis c'est la même les autres qui me connaissent. L'accident est arrivé vers 9h10 du matin. La police, sous chose inspecteur Mathur, et la police de Paille, et la police de Moka, station Moka et Paille, ils arrivent sur le lieu très rapidement, dans quelques minutes. Et ils ont apporté un secours approprié. Toute l'autorité concernée, la police, SMF, SSU, pompiers, service médical, hélicoptère, sont présents. Ils ont fait prendre toutes les dispositions requises pour amener tout le soutien et le secours qui vous a amené. Le ministre de la Santé, une cause en moi, il a envie de faire ci, qui dans l'hôpital, tout les affaires faire vite, amène Mandimoun vite, donc il y a le lieu pour assurer que tout déploiement fait rapidement et que tout le service médical concerné est capable de aider pour être blessés. Et nous avons besoin de dire là-dedans, et dans une clinique privée également, qui finit d'aider, et dans Apollo Bramwell et dans la cité clinique Montpan. Et nous connaissons malheureusement 10 personnes qui ont perdu la vie, et il y a 45 blessés. Une partie fin traitée, fin capable d'aller, une partie encore admise dans l'hôpital. Le ministère de la Santé fin assuré qu'il fait autopsie aussi vite, aussi rapidement que possible, et il retourne dans l'écho, dans la famille. Le bus fait une première examination sur le site, il prend une photo, Forensic Science Lab, il prend tout les données qu'il besoin prend. Après ça, il amène Bista dans le poste de la police pour les examiner par un expert et un ingénieur du MPI. Moi, vu rassurer la population qu'il l'enquête de toute façon comme la loi prévoit, pour une langue.